Superman gets challenged to a race. Here's your look at the new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superman the Animated Series, The Flash. Young, brash, and impulsive, Wally West gained the power of super speed during a freak electrochemical accident. Now the Flash is the fastest man alive, capable of velocities approaching the speed of light. But even if he acts before he thinks, the Flash is the first one to race into a fight, and the super speeding winner in many race against Doom alongside the other DC superheroes. Before we spend some time with the Scarlet Speedster, I'd like to first thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that provided this sample of the new Superman animated series, The Flash, that we could have a look at in this video. Being, of course, that he's from Superman the Animated Series, of course, it would make most sense to bring in the Superman so you can actually see what he looks like next to Superman. And why not? Seeing as, after all, we've just recently had a look at another Superman, we can bring in the black costume variant to have Superman bookending the Flash on either side. Now, while this body would have worked for Batman, and even for John Stewart, I don't think Flash works well to have this same style of body. And for obvious reasons, they've made him a little bit smaller and a little shorter than the Superman on either side of him. For the things that come included with the Flash, the first thing we'll have a look at is a trading card. The trading card is using figure photography. It's actually of the figure that we're going to be looking at in this video. But you can see that they've added a few little swooshing effects to make it actually look like he's running on the street. This is actually pulled from Superman the Animated Series rather than Justice League. I'm curious as to why they didn't release this under the banner of Justice League, even though Superman is actually from Superman the Animated Series. Unless they have plans that down the road they are going to be releasing more characters centered around the Justice League cartoon and less of the little side tiers, because we really haven't gotten a Justice League Batman yet, even though we have gotten ourselves a John Stewart. So I'm wondering again if maybe they're going to be planning a release of Flash from the Justice League cartoon, and this is just again the animated series, Superman animated series, Scarlet Speedster. We're going to flip around to the back of the card, same image there up at the top right hand corner. Unfortunately, in the way of bio, it doesn't list too much other than just his real name. No height, no weight, but at least it gives you a little paragraph read that you can either pause the video and read it for yourself, or it's also the same paragraph that I read at the beginning of this review as well. Let's put that to the side. The figure also comes included with a display stand. It'd be hard to come up with some different way to describe these display stands because it's the same stands that we've gotten all this time. But still, again, appreciate the fact that a company like McFarlane Toys are throwing in display stands. Think of the last time you've ever picked up a figure from another company that actually came with its own unique display stand, even though it's not technically unique, but at least it does have the DC logo down below. One single peg that will attach to the underside of Flash's feet. We'll come back to this in a second. Just remind me if you can. The figure also comes included with a Speed Force effect. If it looks somewhat familiar to you, it's because, well, it actually came included with another Flash from a DC Multiverse figure we actually have looked at here on this channel. I don't think they've done anything differently done to it. I mean, it's still making use of a translucent yellow plastic. You'll notice there's a peg right here. Now this peg attaches to the underside. It doesn't really matter which foot of the 2 feet that you use. But let's just actually get them in a running pose. Just going to quickly throw something together. Just pop the arm back into the socket there. The arms, by the way, more of which I'll talk about when we get into the figure articulation. Every time I move this one arm, it seems to always pop out, but we'll just pop that back into place. As I was saying, though, if you're going to take the peg on one of his feet, you can attach then the Speed Force effect, and you kind of have to bring his foot down as opposed to bringing it forward. Bring it down like this, and that just pegs onto the Speed Force effect. And then from there, of course, you can just compensate, bringing the leg up a little bit, bringing the arms around. And you can have Flash in a running pose. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, well, how is he possibly going to be able to balance this figure? I can't. Just barely. One thing that's good, at least, about the Speed Force is there's a peg on the bottom of it. So then you can take that display stand that we just looked at earlier. See, I was going to bring it back in. And that just attaches to the bottom like that. And it just gives you a little bit of extra stability. It still will involve you having to balance the figure. But you can get him at least in a bit of a running pose. That is a horrible running pose. But at least you get the idea. Let's go ahead and take that off. We're just going to put the whole thing, I guess really as well. You could use this also, being the fact that the figure does also have some swappable hands. Let's just get the figure to stand straight first of all. Put him back on the display there, and we could bring in the hands, actually. I want to talk a little bit about these hands quickly, if I can. One hand's a closed fist, and then one hand looks like it should be holding something. It's really strange because while looking at this hand, it almost looks like he has a trigger finger, like he should have a gun with him. And I wouldn't ever think that Flash would be of a character that would come include with a gun, but it kind of looks like he should be holding something. I guess if you wanted to, you could take the lightning effect and you attach it into his hand. I mean, it's not really the intended plan to include this for that reason, but I guess if you wanted to, it could look, you make it almost look like he's ready to throw some lightning bolts. Why not, if you wanted to? Stock with the figure. Currently in the forearms right now, he has flat hands. I mean, this is really the good hands that you want to be going with, providing, again, I don't just drop one of them. But, like, those are the good hands to go with if you want to display the figure in a running pose. Hold on one second. Let me go ahead and grab that hand. Yes. As I was saying, these hands are actually flatter, so they're ideal if you want to have Flash in a running pose. And it's probably going to be the hands I'm going to stick with for the time being. Let's get his arms straightened out. Get a closer look, first of all, at his head sculpt. I do think they did a pretty good job for the Flash. Now, again, basing this from the Superman animated series, Flash does look a little bit different than what he would later on in the Justice League cartoon. He's a little larger in the head, still that chiseled chin. I do like the fact that he gave him the little smirk there. I did notice, though, taking the figure out of the packaging, that his head was very shiny, and there seemed to be, I don't know, like a residue or something on the torso piece. Now, sometimes they do add like a little bit of almost lubrication on the figures, sometimes to help with the joints. And it seems to be just a little bit left behind here on the Flash. I did notice a little bit more on his head. Nowhere really else on the rest of his body, just kind of around this area here. The paint, what little there is of it, because again, most of it's just the molded red plastic, is actually pretty good. The eyes, as you can see, are more triangles of white. Again, he's got the little lightning bolts there on the side of his mask, his cowl here. Does look actually pretty good. It's a nice looking Flash. No complaints at all. And then for his emblem, I like that they at least raised this. This could have been a case where they could have easily just printed on. Is that the sound that it would have made? They would have easily just printed on that image, but actually instead they lifted it. And they had it so that the white part of the lightning bolt is actually more recessed into his body. So they probably would have painted the circle and then overlaid the yellow plastic over top of it. I like it. It adds just a little extra character. And it certainly shows as well that the company is willing to make that extra work just to put that on there. Similar to Superman, because again, they could have just printed that logo on the chest. Everything actually on him that you would suspect to be lifted is actually lifted here on the figure. Like even the little lightning bolts on the sides of his arm, the lightning bolt as well around his waist, are all additional molded pieces. So again, if they wanted to use this body, I'm sure they probably will consider to use this mold again. It's a good proportioned body for other animated style characters. They would have to have then changed something different to the belt, because this doesn't seem like... The waist is a separate piece, and it's a softer plastic. I suppose technically they could keep this off and just remold this part for every new character that they're planning to release. And then forearms are just a simple case of using a different forearm. So yeah, there's probably a lot of mileage that they could get out of this body using it for it. Again, I'm really liking this mold. The mold works really well, that they could use it for, again, other Justice League characters, other animated series characters from both Superman and Batman. I think like the proportions work really well in this. I actually like the proportions on Flash now. I've probably said proportions several times already. I do like this build of body, I think, just a little bit more than the Superman. Again, it works well for Superman because Superman has to have a bigger body. But I think I really like it a lot more for Flash, especially when we look at the socketed joints that usually would then make the shoulders a lot bigger. It seems to be more in line with what I would expect the body to be in the animated series. Not too wide of a shoulder, but just the right amount. Again, we spin this around so you can see it from the back. It's a little coarser here for some reason on the back of not my shoulders, but Flash's shoulders, almost as if something abrasive hit it. And again, that's probably only on my figure, but something I wanted to point out as well. And we look at the rest of his body. He does have the painted in yellow boots with some nice additional articulation on the ankles that we'll look at in a second. Again, I'm really liking the body. I don't want to, again, continue to throw out the word proportions, but again, proportionately, I feel like the body works really well for Flash here. Now let's tackle the articulation on the figure. Okay, so the head, mindful of course of these lightning bolts on either side, they tend to prick into your skin. The head does rotate back and forth. Now I did notice that the head was really super tight on this figure. I can still get a full bend, but maybe there's a lot of the problems I'm trying to get away from bending these by accident, that I'm trying to reach just in the inside or hold on to what little head that I actually grab onto. But that does rotate all the way around. Again, just be careful of those lightning bolts. The head does look up just a little bit, and it also does look down. Not a lot though. The arms though come out at 90 degrees, and you can also take those arms and rotate them all the way around. You probably already as well see the socket joints. The socket does allow the arms to come down a little bit further up. It also allows them to bring in a little bit more, and you can also bring them out a lot more because again, they've added those additional joint pieces in the torso. The figure does have bicep swivel. He does have a single hinge in the elbow, which you probably have already seen in this review. More of a struggle on my part to try to get these to bend. The joints, again, a little on the tighter side, but I would rather them be tight than super loose and floppy. The hands rotate all the way around, hinging them also back and forth. The upper torso is on a ball joint. The lower torso is also on a ball joint. You can rotate that around. The legs split out, and you can bring the legs forward and back. He swivels at the top. Where that is attached to the ball joint, again, I just want to show you kind of the inner mechanics of the figure. There's a little ball joint right there. The figure has a double hinge on the knee. There's one, there's two. He doesn't have any articulation. I kind of expected his boot to be a separate piece, and it doesn't seem to be the case. And then when it comes to his feet, you can move him back and forth this way. He has an ankle pivot, and the figure also has some toe articulation as well. Despite his leaner body, actually Flash, again, like the joints are really tight on this guy. And that's good. I mean, certainly it would be disappointing to take this figure out of the packaging and be already dealing and having to contend with loose joints. But that's not the case at all when it comes to the Flash. And again, one last time, we'll just get the feet somewhat as straight as we possibly can get them. Because, of course, I want to bring back in Superman. Maybe Superman ×2. Superman 1. Not their names. Superman 2. The black costume Superman. Just again to give you guys one last look at how the bodies are different from one another. Again, they probably could have used the same body. But to be fair, like, that's not Flash. Flash shouldn't be as big as Superman is anyways. Again, it could work for a character like Batman. Sure, Batman could have the same body. I don't know why I'm having some difficult time getting him to stand properly. It's because he's got such a bigger, bulkier body here. Maybe we'll leave him off for the time being. We'll move these two over because really these are the more focal point. Again, I feel like Flash shouldn't have the same body size as Superman. So I really appreciate the fact that McFarlane Toys, when coming up with the new Scarlet Speedster, that they gave him a different body altogether. Something's a little leaner, something's a little more slimmer. And like, again, I hate to throw that word out there, proportionately, it works a little bit better for a character like Flash, and I hope it's a body that they're going to use again with future releases. A pretty good looking Flash figure from the folks over at McFarlane Toys. Now again, this one is from Superman the Animated Series, but easily he could just stand in as part of your Animated Series figures, going up there on your shelf along with your Animated Superman, Animated Batman, and Animated John Stewart. Although I still gotta wonder, for them to call this Superman Animated Series Flash, does that mean that down the road maybe they're planning to re-release this guy with a slightly different red shade of color, maybe changing out his clothes just a little bit and re-releasing this guy as Justice League Flash? That has me wondering. Even if they don't, though, I mean, it's a good enough Flash to stand on his own or to unite with the rest of the Justice League. And so far we have already gotten that Superman. We've already gotten a Batman, even though they're not from the Justice League designs. And we got ourselves a John Stewart. We're doing pretty good when it comes to forming together the League. I just hope that they're going to continue the trend and we're going to get more of the League members, or at the very least, more animated series tie-in characters. Because saying, again, reiterating something mentioned in this review, the body is too good on Flash to be just used only on Flash and Flash alone. I think they could definitely get more mileage out of this particular mold and use it not only for other Justice League members, but also animated tie-in characters as well. Let's hope that's going to be the case. Again, a big thank you to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that provided the sample of the new Superman animated series, The Flash, that we could have a look at in this review. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comment section. And if you are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. That is That is to say, if you haven't done it already. And make sure as well you turn on that bell notification so you get those friendly reminders, those friendly 411s of whenever new videos are going to be popping up. Friendly 411 throwing your way as well from this guy behind the camera. There's going to be a lot more DC Multiverse reviews coming your way, so make sure you keep your peepers peeled to this channel. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.